Hey everyone, I am the only Resh and welcome to the channel. My hype for Battlefield 2042 is through the roof. I've been really wanting another modern Battlefield since Battlefield 4. Battlefield 1 came out, I was into it for a little bit. Battlefield 5 came out, didn't touch it. So I wanted to make this video to go over the biggest changes we're going to get in 2042 in comparison to the previous Battlefield games, and in general just the changes and details that I'm most excited about, that I'm really excited to get hands on with and actually play it and see how it goes. And we're going to start with talking about Conquest. So, Conquest, in my opinion, and maybe factually, is the main game mode in the previous Battlefield games, where two teams start out with however many tickets there are, and the first team to lose all their tickets loses the match. And you drain the enemy team's tickets by either defeating enemies or controlling most of the capture points, which will drain their tickets over time. So the change with Battlefield 2042 is now the action is centered around sectors consisting of several flags instead of individual control points. Meaning in Battlefield 4, there was capture points A, B, C, D, E. Now in Battlefield 2042, there are going to be multiple different sectors on the map, and each one of those sectors has multiple flags inside of it, say like 2 or 3 capture points inside one sector. Now, to have control of that sector of the map, you have to control all of those flags or the majority of them. I'm not really sure if it's going to be majority or all, but that's the main point of it. You have to control individual flags inside sectors, and that is how you control that one area. So this sounds like there's going to be a lot more objectives to capture, which makes sense because the maps are going to be bigger. There's going to be more players with 128 players on next gen and PC. It does seem like this could be a bit complicated. It could be a lot to try and coordinate between a team of 64 people and that many capture points and flags hidden inside the sectors. But I mean, we'll see how it goes generally, because this is not something I've had experience with personally. Having matches with 128 people, I haven't played a game of that scale yet, so I'm really excited to get into it and see how it actually goes, how the flow feels for a game of Conquest as far as capturing an objective, moving to another one, capturing that, and being able to try and coordinate that in a way to progress to like domination over the map, essentially. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is AIs and bots. Now, if you want to practice the game modes before hopping online, or if you just don't feel like playing against real players anyway, or maybe even if you don't have an internet connection at the time and you just want to play Battlefield 2042 but can't get online, you can play Conquest and Breakthrough with AI teammates and AI enemies. Now, this is a really cool thing because it's a great opportunity to test out different specialists, different weapons, get some vehicle practice, because being in an actual online match sometimes is really hard to get access to a vehicle, and specifically if you're pretty new to it and you're trying to get used to it, trying to get better at it, it's hard to get to those vehicles before everybody else does. You either have to just sit on the spawn screen and wait, or you have to get lucky right off the bat at the beginning of the match. And sometimes you just feel like you're wasting it for your team, but you're trying to practice so you can get good, so you're not wasting it. So these bot matches are going to be a really good way to practice vehicles. I'm really excited for that and for more people to get a hang of it. And also, DICE confirmed that playing with AI squad mates does contribute to your overall progress. So playing online or playing against bots, you're going to progress through your leveling up your specialists and your weapons and stuff like that. And I'm assuming that also means you're going to make battle pass progression with AI bots as well. Now, another thing I've read that I'm not 100% sure on if it's true, but it does make sense if this is the case, is in actual multiplayer matches online, if the server's not full or it's too one-sided with the teams, if like a bunch of people leave your team for whatever reason, the AIs and bots can actually fill those slots so the teams can actually be even and the server can be full. So this is kind of a cool thing, specifically with having 128 player matches. Like I said before, I haven't had a whole lot of experience or any at all with matches of that size, so I'm not sure how much of a problem this is for games like that. But having this option available is kind of a cool thing, so it's not totally one-sided, and we'll have to see how useful the bots actually are. But it is going to be an interesting thing to keep the servers full and keep the teams even and stuff like that. So I'm more excited for this just for the custom game aspect and to actually get practice with vehicles and different weapons and specialists without the pressure of other players online or other players taking vehicles and stuff like that. So that is a really cool thing in Battlefield 2042. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on, but I'm not going to talk too much about because it's pretty well known, but I wanted to talk about the fact that there are 128 player matches and these massive maps in Battlefield 2042. It's, again, not something I've had experience with matches this big, and looking at the trailer and looking at the gameplay footage we've seen, There are so many players on screen, all these vehicles, all this action going on, these explosions. There's just so much. It's chaotic. It's all out warfare, as the playlist of game modes says. And I'm just excited to have this much action going on and actually be in there playing. And again, that's only on next gen consoles and PC for the 128 players. Xbox One and PS4 are only going to have 64, and they won't be able to play on those bigger maps. Now, this bums me out a bit because I do have the next gen consoles, but not all of my friends do because they either can't get one or can't afford one or wherever else. And from what I've seen so far, it doesn't look like we will be able to play cross gen. Like, I won't be able to play on my Series X with my friends that are on Xbox One because they can't play those 128 player matches. Now, I would be fine jumping into some 64 player matches to play with my friends on my Series X. And I'm hoping that that's going to be an option for us to just play on a smaller map with a smaller number of people if we're given the option to play with our friends. But if we can't at all, kind of frustrating to me because that's how I want to play this game is with my friends, making a squad, having these cool battlefield moments. And it's going to be pretty disappointing if I can't. And hopefully more of them can get an Xbox Series X or PS5 or whatever by that time, but we'll see. Another cool thing about these huge maps is there's going to be a lot more airspace for jets to fly around and helicopters. There's going to be a lot more land space for tank fights and stuff like that to have more distance, mainly for the aircraft, because sometimes in the Battlefield 4 maps, when I'd be flying around in a jet, you'd feel, I mean, it's still a big area, so it's not like you're going to have to turn around every 4 seconds, but having bigger maps with even more airspace is going to be so cool for aircraft fights, dogfights, and stuff like that. And also seeing sniper kills from however far these maps are. That's going to be insane. I remember playing Battlefield 4 maps and getting a headshot from on somebody I could barely see in my scope, in my 20 times scope. Granted, they put 40 times scope in Battlefield 4. A lot of my sniping was in Battlefield 3, but I want to see how far we can get these sniper kills on these massive maps. It's going to be insane, and I'm so excited for it. We also got a brand new game mode coming to Battlefield called Hazard Zone. And as I just said, this is a brand new game mode. It's all new for Battlefield, nothing they've done before. And we don't know a whole lot about it yet. They just announced that it is a new mode that's coming, and we're going to get more info, I'm assuming, on July 22nd at the EA Play Live event or whatever it's called. And it's a modern take on multiplayer that is a high stakes squad based experience. And the studio does stress that Hazard Zone is not a Battle Royale mode. Now, this might be their take on Battle Royale or some kind of new spin on it, or maybe this new innovation, this brand new experience that we haven't seen in a multiplayer game before. Maybe. I'm not expecting this to be the next big thing to knock out Battle Royale because Battle Royale is still massive at the time. But I am very excited to see what kind of new game mode we have here. I'm always down for new stories and campaign games that have those, or new multiplayer experiences and new game modes like this. So I'm really excited to see what Hazard Zone is. And there's also a third mode that we know absolutely nothing about, other than the fact that there is a third mode that they're going to tell us about. And this one will be revealed at that EA Play Live thing on July 22nd. That's been confirmed. And they said this is also not a Battle Royale. So, again, Battlefield 2042 will not have a Battle Royale, at least at launch, for sure. We're not sure about later, but at least not at launch. Another cool thing in here is maps having real-time destructive weather systems. So stuff like sandstorms that hinder your visibility, a space rocket launch, tornadoes, and stuff like that. And the sandstorms hindering your visibility, I think, is really cool because it will help players that are on the ground hide from aircraft or tanks or whatever else. They're not going to be able to see you as well. You're going to be able to evade a little bit more. Or you can play it aggressively where a sandstorm comes in, a tank can't see you. You just balls to the wall, straight to the tank, throw some C4 on it while it can't see you. I think there's going to be a lot of cool opportunities for that, as well as snipers. If you're one of the people that likes to snipe the whole match and a sandstorm comes in, you got to find a different play style until that sandstorm goes away or until the end of the match or whatever it is. You can also use the weather to your advantage. Like if you're the specialist who has a wingsuit and a tornado comes through, you can deploy your wingsuit and kind of just ride the tornado. And I'm pretty sure, like in the end of the reveal trailer, it looked like the wingsuit guy just took off with the wind from the tornado, like straight up. So it looks like if a tornado drops, you can deploy a wingsuit and get like up to the top of a building or something crazy like that. And that would be really cool. There's going to be a lot of potential for that too. But also, there's going to be vehicles flying around or whatever debris on the ground flying around, hitting people, probably killing you midair and pulling vehicles in. There was one part of the reveal trailer where an Osprey or whatever helicopter vehicle it was getting like sucked into the tornado from the ground, which is pretty cool. And certain hazards can also act differently, leading to different outcomes. And the rocket launch, like I was talking about in the orbital map, can succeed or fail, leading to different after effects for each occasion. So, and I think all that is player controlled also. So, in that orbital map, I'm assuming the rocket launch can just not happen at all if nobody does anything with it, or somebody can initiate the launch and it can take off and probably like kill anybody that was below the rocket, or it can fail and the whole thing can explode or something like that and a bunch of debris falls on the ground. That's just my guess as to how that goes. But having this dynamic stuff in this game and in the Battlefield franchise as a whole, but specifically in 2042, is going to be really cool to play with and just see how random this is all going to be. And it makes each match kind of feel like a different experience in a different scenario, and it's really cool. And I also remember seeing an interview with one of the developers, or a few of the developers, I can't remember, talking about the tornado specifically, saying that there might be some matches where you don't see the tornado come up at all, and the tornado's actual actions are completely randomized. There's not a set path that it takes. It doesn't go through this one part of the map every time. It doesn't last for, I'm assuming the duration is also going to be random, but the path the tornado takes is completely random every time. So it's not going to be the same every time. You're not going to be able to be like, all right, I'll be safe in this building or I'll be safe behind this wall or whatever else. It's completely random. You're not going to know every single time. And I'm very excited to just have those different experiences in every match and have everything feel different and be surprising and be intense. And these are the reasons that I love Battlefield so much, is these different scenarios that they can feel like and how every match can be a completely different thing. It's awesome. Also, a quick detail about the vehicles and players having access to a call-in tablet, and this lets you request a land-based vehicle to land anywhere on the map. And I think this is a really good thing for this game because of the big maps and the 128 player matches and stuff like that, where there's going to be a lot of vehicles on map at the same time, and I'm assuming it would be pretty difficult to just get one off spawn because of how many players there are. So having this is a really cool detail, and especially for how big the maps are. If all the vehicles are at spawn and you're in the middle of the map, it's kind of hard to get a vehicle. So having this call-in tablet is really cool. And one thing the devs pointed out specifically, which I think is really cool, is you can try to use the airdrop for the vehicle to land on an enemy. And one example they gave was pinpointing a tank to land on an enemy sniper position, which is awesome. So there's going to be more only in Battlefield moments with this call-in tablet for these vehicles. I'm very excited for that too. And I think one specific scenario where this is going to be the most helpful is if you and your buddies are at a capture point or at a sector or whatever else, and you get done capturing that capture point or that sector, and you want to get to the next one, but you don't have a vehicle, or you would have to run on foot, which is very unsafe if there's an enemy land vehicle or air vehicle in the area. So you can just call in a Jeep or call in a tank or whatever else to get to the next position safely without just being a sitting duck in the open with like tanks and helicopters and jets all over the place. So that's going to be a really cool thing too, to kind of level the playing field and not put you at such a disadvantage if you don't have a vehicle available to you. And also, we have to talk about the specialists. So these are basically the classes in Battlefield 2042. And previously, we had the assault, support, recon, and engineer classes, and that was basically it for the majority of the Battlefield games. And for the specialists, they're going to be kind of different, where there's going to be 10 specialists at launch. And each specialist comes with a unique specialty and trait, the specialty being their specific gadget that they have, and their traits being more of a passive ability that they have. And the 10 specialists and however many specialists they add after the fact are kind of split up into different groups. Like there will be multiple specialists that fit under the recon group, and ones that fit under assault, ones that fit under support, and I'm assuming ones that fit under engineer and stuff like that, as to their general theme of their gadgets and stuff like that. And the specialists are also specific characters with names, not just a random face. Casper is the recon, McKay is the assault, Falk is support, and Boris is the engineer. And the other 6 specialists will be revealed in the months leading up to launch. I think the wingsuit specialist was also revealed, but I don't remember the name of that one. And for the specialties, like I said, which are specific gadgets for the individual specialists, these are things like a grappling hook for the assault one, a recon drone for recon, a pistol that fires healing rounds for teammates, which is used by the support specialist or one of them. And that pistol firing healing rounds can also revive teammates from afar, which is awesome. So those are all active gadgets that those specialists have and they can use. And the traits, like I said, are passive abilities. Like the Assault can move faster while aiming, and one of the support specialists can revive allies to full health instead of at low health, which is pretty cool. And also, specialists can be customized with whatever loadout we want. This is a really cool thing, and I'm really glad to change this, where specific weapons aren't locked to a specialist. Like, you don't have to be recon to use a sniper rifle. You don't have to be support to use an LMG. You don't have to be assault to use whatever else. And this is going to lead to a lot of different builds and a lot of different combinations of gadgets and weapons and stuff like that, to the point where we're going to see a lot more variety in play styles that people can do here. Where if you want to be the assault, where you can have that grappling hook, and you can have a sniper, so you can use the grappling hook to get some elevation and a higher position so you can snipe better. Or you can have an SMG with the assault class with the grappling hook, and you can play aggressive with it, where you can advance towards enemies quicker and close that range a little bit for the SMG. There's going to be a lot of different opportunities for people to kind of play with the sandbox a little bit, use different weapons with different gadgets, and kind of mix and match and see what works best, what weird combinations we can make, what new metas I guess we can use. And it also, I don't want to say worries me a little bit about the balance that there's going to be there with all these different specialists and weapons and stuff like that, and less restrictions on combinations we can do, because we know games like Apex and Call of Duty, the new ones, go back and forth on buffing and nerfing different weapons all the time, and specialists and stuff like that, because they become overpowered or underpowered or wherever else. And I'm really hoping Battlefield can handle that well and not have it be this, I don't know, bad multiplayer experience where everybody's using the same specialist and the same gun. So hopefully they can balance that pretty well and make it a fun experience to use a wide variety of different loadouts and different combinations of stuff like that, like I talked about. I'm very excited to see what kind of things people come up with. I am not the best at creating different builds and stuff like that, but I know there are some very talented and very strategic people out there that can make some awesome builds and loadouts between gadgets and weapons. I'm very excited to see some combinations people do. Now, one of the coolest things that I wanted to talk about in this video is the plus system. When this first got talked about in the reveal trailer, or the details after the reveal trailer, I think, I wasn't exactly sure what it was. I'm like, I just didn't know what it was. And the plus system basically lets you customize your weapon on the fly. And it looks like it just works with the D-pad. And this is while running around boots on the ground. You don't have to pause, edit your loadout, and get it the next time you spawn. You don't have to wait till you die, so you can go in the menu and customize and then deploy with it. This is, you're running around on the ground, you hit whatever the button is on the D-pad, and it will switch the whatever on your gun right then and there. There's no animation for it. It will just automatically pop on whatever attachment you just switched it to. And you can change your scope, your barrel, your ammo type, and underbarrel attachments with this. And this is going to be really helpful for those situations, specifically for Battlefield, where we have these massive maps where you can go from a wide open area with insane ranges of enemy players in the distance to close quarters in a building to back out in the open area very quickly and in the same life, where multiple times in Battlefield I've had an ACOG scope or an 8x scope on something outside, and I get in a building and I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to have to look at their nose when I try to shoot at them, because I have this huge scope on my gun, which is why hybrid sights are something I usually do. But having this actually is going to be really good for that, because you can have an ACOG scope like a 4x when you're outside and you're going in a building, and you can just switch to iron sights or switch to a red dot right off the bat. You can switch your underbarrel attachment from a grenade launcher to like a whatever 100-barrel shotgun or something like that. You can switch your ammo type to a higher magazine or stuff that gives you a rapid fire rate for close quarters, stuff like that. You can swap out all this stuff on the fly as soon as you're getting in the building or out of the building. And it's a really cool thing, and I'm very excited to see how well this makes the match flow as far as not being stuck with whatever you got when you switch to a different environment. I'm very excited to use this. Very excited they did this. I haven't seen another game do this, I mean, recently, or one that's been very popular. I've seen it compared to a system used in Crisis before, but that's also a single player game, and seeing this in a multiplayer game is going to be really cool, and I'm very excited to use it. Now, for post-launch content, this is one thing I wanted to talk about, because this is only a multiplayer game. There's no campaign. All their focus is on multiplayer, and this is going to be treated more as a live service game rather than just multiplayer that they're going to support over time. They're going to keep adding stuff. They're going to keep changing stuff like other games like Apex and Call of Duty Warzone and stuff like that. So Battlefield 2042's first year promises 4 seasons of content, coming with new specialists and new locations. And as for the specialists, there will be 1 new specialist for each battle pass. Each season has a new battle pass, and both a free and a paid version. But those new locations will be accessible to all players. You don't need to pay for the battle pass to get the new maps or whatever locations come out. Those will be available to everybody for free, so that's cool. And it does sound like the battle pass, the paid version of the battle pass, will just have cosmetics and maybe the specialists. I'm not sure if the specialists are going to be on the paid version or not. It wouldn't surprise me because Call of Duty does that, and so does Apex, where you have to pay real money to get the new specialists or new legends or new whatever. We'll have to wait to get some more information on it to know for sure, but I know for the most part it's supposed to be cosmetics from what I've heard, which is a good thing. And when talking about these seasons, EA's website says, we'll be evolving our world and expanding on the fiction through seasons. So going just from that quote, there will be a narrative told as the seasons progress, similar to Apex and Warzone kind of, where like a new season comes out and they just have some lore behind it as to why, what's happening on the map or whatever, where I think the majority of players don't really pay that much attention to or don't care. And I probably will forget like 2 days after the expansion or change comes out. I'll probably not remember why it happened, but it's fine. And that's also probably part of the reason there won't be a campaign, is because they're just doing a story with the multiplayer instead. Again, I do think that it's a good thing they're focusing all their attention on the multiplayer. It's a whole nother conversation, but I appreciate that they're putting all their focus and resources on multiplayer and what they're really, really good at, instead of trying to split their focus on 2 different things. But again, different conversation, not going to get into that right now. Another thing I did want to mention really quick that's not a detail about Battlefield, but the YouTuber Jackfrags. I have been watching a few of his videos since the reveal trailer for Battlefield 2042. I've seen a few of his videos in the past years too, but specifically recently with all this stuff, because he's been putting out some amazing content, giving lots of details about the game. He's gotten to see some gameplay before the rest of us did, and he's been watching the trailers frame by frame to pick out different details that we all missed. Plenty of stuff that I didn't know. So definitely check out Jackfrags on YouTube. He has some amazing content pointing out little tiny details and specific things on Battlefield 2042 from inside looks he's gotten, as well as watching trailers frame by frame. He's put a ton of work into that, and it's awesome content. Go check that out if you haven't already. So there it is, all the coolest details and stuff I'm most excited about for Battlefield 2042. Like I said, I am extremely excited for this game to come out. This is possibly beating Halo Infinite for my most anticipated game this year. I'm so excited for this, just to have another modern Battlefield. I'm so excited for all the new stuff added, all the 128 player matches we're going to have. I'm so excited for this. Also very excited to see more info about the game at the EA Play Live showcase, whatever it's called, on July 22nd, where we're going to get a look at that third mode that we don't know anything about. We're probably going to get a look at some more gameplay. Definitely going to check that showcase out on July 22nd. I will most likely be doing a video very shortly after that presentation to go over the new details that we got. I feel like my channel is going to turn into a Battlefield channel, but it's fine. So be sure to subscribe here on YouTube at The Only Resh to get that video, as well as my Let's Plays, my other gaming discussions, my top 10s, my everything else gaming related. And you can follow me and my other content on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, here on YouTube, basically anywhere at The Only Resh. That's my handle pretty much everywhere. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, beat that boss, find that last collectible, roll those credits. I'm out.